Hello, good morning everybody, happy Friday, happy birthday of course. Every day is your birthday. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. And today we're going to talk about how to find 64 hours in a day. You know how everybody always says, I wish I had more time in the day? I'm going to show you how today. It's not my idea, although I do like it, and it kind of is my idea. It's one of those sort of situations where somebody else has reminded me of something that I already kind of knew. I don't do it. I have to admit, being completely honest, but I'm going to try more of it now. There are bits of it that I do, so to be honest. So it comes from David Meltzer, but it also relates back to my reading of the Tao of Pooh, the Winnie the Pooh book that I'm reading at the moment. Links in the descriptions to both the top 10 from David Meltzer and the Tao of Pooh book in the description. Also, the Blinkist book of the day today is really cool. It's about asking for help. Really kind of cool ideas about how that works and how you should ask for help more often, because you never know who in your sphere of influence can help you. And talking of help, I had a message the other day from a lady called Ronnie, who's turning 66 on the 17th of December, and she's been watching my videos, and she said, don't forget to tell me to wish me a happy birthday on the 17th. So I'm going to preempt that slightly and say happy birthday on the 17th of December, Ronnie. And thank you for your message. I love the fact that somebody had obviously recognised the fact that I'm saying happy birthday to people every day, and that she wanted to make sure, and sometimes I don't know who those are, and there's 3 people today who I'm not quite sure who they are. And I don't know who they are. So, if you're in my circle of friends and you're watching this and you want to make sure that I know who you are, then send me a message or comment below or whatever. So anyway, happy birthday today, happy real birthday today to a guy called Matt State. I did look up all of you guys online to see if I kind of knew where you were. So I had a vague idea, but wasn't quite 100% sure. So anyway, hello Matt, not sure I know you from, but hope you're having a lovely day today. Hello Les Jones, David Heiner, which is quite an interesting one. I'm guessing that you're in a partnership with David Heiner. I definitely know David. I went to Gambia with him on a charity thing. So hello David, by the way, if you happen to be watching this. But definitely hello Les, and happy birthday to you. Don't know where I know you from. I'm guessing it's from the Professional Speakers Association originally. And Mary, who's got a long name, Mary Lucas Thorne Guestoso. American, I guess, so I'm not quite sure where I know you from either, but there you go. And the final one, who is somebody who I do know, Dan Aston Gregory. I did mean to say, whatever happened to your podcast product that you were going to launch, where we could give reviews and feedback and share it like we did with YouTube and stuff. I know you're doing something else now, but I was just curious to know whatever happened to that. Anyway, but I hope you're having a lovely happy birthday today. That would be amazing. I just realised that, yes, that's one of the biggest reasons why I stopped doing my podcast, was because I wasn't getting enough feedback. I wasn't getting responses from people. I wasn't getting the interaction that I do with things like this. Although technically speaking, of course, I could turn all of these into a podcast and at some point. So maybe that's a job I need to outsource to somebody at some point. Anyway, happy birthday, everybody. What are you doing to celebrate your birthday today? Hello, good morning, Tom again. How are you doing? Another new regular viewer, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Tao of Pooh first, and then I'm going to come back to the concept that David Meltzer was talking about. Tao of Pooh was talking about these guys called busy Baxons, which I think is reference to the actual the house at Winnie Pooh Corner. Basically, are people who are just like busy all the time, constantly on their feet, constantly never sort of stopping and slowing down and just appreciating nature, for example. There's a really kind of cool thing in the Tao of Pooh book. I'm not sure if it's in the original book, but he said it's like there's a story. Actually, no, it is, because it's a story. It's like a Chinese proverb of some kind, where somebody is they're scared of their shadow, and so they start running to avoid the shadow. They also don't like footprints, so every time they take a footprint, they leave a footprint in the floor, and so they start running to try and get away from the footprints and get away from the shadow, and they realise after a while that they're still, the footprints and the shadows are still following them, and so they try and run faster and faster and faster, and they keep running until eventually they just fall over and die. And of course they don't realise that their shadow and their footprints is just following them wherever they go. As my coach Vicky always says, no matter where you go, there you are. She doesn't quite phrase it like that. I think that's a famous thing from somewhere else. Good morning, Adele, another regular viewer. How are you today? But what it does say in there is, of course, if you just stood still, then your footprints wouldn't follow you. because you're standing still and you're not creating footprints. So for that moment, your footprints are no longer chasing you. And also, if you stand or sit in the shade of a tree, your shadow will no longer exist. It will no longer follow you because you won't have a shadow, because you'll be in the shadow of the tree. So it's a great idea to sort of sit still and just take some time out. I loved the concept of that. It was fantastic. And also in that section of the book where they're talking about there as well, was this idea of pounding in from the outside rather than building from the inside, which I thought was quite cool. I can't remember what the context of that was. They were certainly talking about like exercises and stuff, and people who go on runs and stuff, like I do obviously, but physical exercise and so forth, rather than building your own self-worth from the inside. I think I'm kind of mixing up the two analogies a little bit there, but I love the idea of stopping trying to find validation for exercise from outside, which we talked about a little bit yesterday. Pounding that validation from the outside instead of building it from the inside instead, which is a much more sort of calmer and gentler thing, isn't it? Rather building from the inside rather than pounding from the outside. So that's kind of cool. He also talked about this idea of, because it was, I think Pooh was asked, what's your favourite thing in the world or something, and he said, and he was thinking about it, and as he was thinking about it, he was thinking it was eating honey, but then he thought, no, it's not the actual eating of honey, it's the anticipation of the eating of the honey. So it's a little bit before you eat the honey, that's where the anticipation comes from, and that's where the excitement comes from. Of course, that's where the dopamine hit comes for getting things done. And actually, my friend and sort of coach, I guess, in a group coaching kind of environment, Laurie, said yesterday, she said, because I was talking about ADHD, and she was saying that the dopamine hit is actually the anticipation of achieving something that gives you a little dopamine hit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try that. So back to how to find 64 hours in a day. It's a bit of a sneaky one, a bit of a cheeky one, but it's a bit of clickbait, if I'm perfectly honest. But it is kind of cool, because the idea there is, he said, most people work 8 hours a day. And he said he works 16 hours a day. That's where he starts from. And you're like, okay, all right, that's already starting to cause problems there. But I think the principle behind what he's talking about makes sense, because he then says, how can I make those 16 hours twice as effective, so I can turn them into 32 hours? And then once I've done that, how can I turn those 32 hours and double the effectiveness of those time and make it into 64 hours? And he's got a point. Because it's systems and processes is what he talks about. And repetition, so things that you do over and over again that maybe you don't need to do over and over again. Are there things that you can outsource, like, for example, turning this into a podcast? So then you're effectively doubling the time. I know my friend Tristan, for example, will take this, for example, and if I was to pay him, he would split this into bits for TikTok, and he would turn this into like 64 bits of content, for example, or whatever. So I only have to do 10 minutes of talking, and then he'll turn that into hundreds of bits of content, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of like doubling that time, tripling that time. What he also talked about was laying out his clothes in the evening, but rather than taking time away from his children, he gets his children involved in helping him to choose clothes for the next day, and he talks to them about finances and buying things and where the clothes are manufactured and all that kind of stuff. So he turns it into a lesson, and the children love it, which is kind of cool. Kind of like the idea of that as well. And then he also talked about cleaning his teeth in the morning. So he said, sometimes when I'm cleaning my teeth, I let my mind wander and I forget how much of my teeth I've done, and I do them over and over again. I do this all the time. It's really frustrating. Well, one of the things I do, and this is part of the course that I will be doing when I do my course. Yes, Laurie, if you're watching this, we'll get around to it eventually. We was only yesterday. Is to wash your teeth mindfully. I can see we've got 4 viewers, by the way. Hello, 2 other viewers. Is to wash your teeth mindfully. So when you're washing your teeth, focus only on washing your teeth. And he said what he can do is he just focuses on just washing your teeth, and then he can do the back, and then front, the side, and inside side, and then the front, and then the back of the front. And then he can be much more effective. So instead of taking 6 minutes to wash his teeth, he can now do it in about 3 minutes or 2 minutes. And so he's making his time much more effective by not allowing his mind to just continually wander. So I just thought that was kind of a cool concept. So anyway, but that's my 10 minutes up and done. Hope you have a lovely, lovely Friday. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. Love you all. Remember, every day is your birthday. Go out and celebrate the first day of the rest of your life. Take care, guys. Bye for now.